Everyone says, "Oh, well, they can't be disciplined or anything like that." But surely there has to be something there in regards to like, hey, look, your performance, we're evaluating you, and if you don't do this, look.
On a daily, pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play basis.
From the EQC studio, welcome to the Top Step with Ryan Rowland-Smith.
How we going, mates? Welcome back to the Top Step. My name is Ryan Rowland-Smith. We're inside the EQC studio. We have got a great episode for you today. I've got MLB umpire Mike Muchlinski joining me right after the break. I can't wait to talk to him. I got so many questions, man, for umpires in general, but we're going to get to that right after the break. Before we do, special reminder, we are going to be back at the Emerald Queen Casino July 26th. Come down, come hang out with us. We're going to be doing a show. I know it was great for Dave Ardsman to be there, Charlie Furbush, to reconnect with all the Mariner fans while we're down there recording a show. A lot of fun. That sportsbook is amazing, by the way. Special thanks to Emerald Queen Casino, the major sponsor of the Top Step. And by the way, special thanks and big welcome to Juan Seltzer, the official drink of the Top Step. They are going to be looking after every interview we do, whether it's here or over at YouTube. If you do want to listen, by the way, to any of or watch these interviews, any of my guests, uncut, unedited, go check it out over at the Top Step TV. Go subscribe and you support the show as well. All right. Now, before I get to Mike, he is waiting to talk about a lot of things. Before we get to Mike, let's start it off with the top trends. All right, let's dive into how accurate umpires really are. Are they accurate? They cop a lot of scrutiny on social media. They cop a lot when you got the little box on the TV, the EQC tracer. And overall, and fans, players now have just being way more vocal at the plate, everything else. So I want to show you this. This is a stat brought to you by ilovebaseball.org. Go to ilovebaseball.org and check out all the amazing things they're doing for young Dominican ball players. Just $39 a month. You can change a young ball player's life in the Dominican Republic. Go to ilovebaseball.org. Now, check out the umpire accuracy in the pitch tracking era. Pitch tracking started in 2008 where they could really track every single pitch with the technology. Now, you look at this, it went from 81.3% all the way up to 92.4% accuracy. That's overall. That's not just pitches inside the strike zone. That's literally every pitch there is. And think about how tough that is now with guys throwing 100 who throw way more breaking balls. Pitch usage has completely changed. You're talking these 92 mile per hour sliders, everything else. So I want to run through some of these numbers because, look, I've always been someone who's had a ton of respect for umpires, how good they are. I played all the way down in rookie ball, A ball, AA, AAA, and up. I'm telling you, when you get to the big leagues, it is very seldom that you throw a pitch and you think the umpire's made a mistake and then you go check it and they're actually wrong. They barely ever are. I know you're watching the traces at home. I get it. But things are different when you're actually in the game. So I do want to point that out. Now, you look at some of these other numbers as well. You look at the from 2008 onwards. So you look at the shadow zone. This is the big one for me. The shadow zone is basically anything just outside, like on the black, right around the shadow from ball or strike. It went from sub 70% accuracy all the way up to 80%. Now, you're probably thinking, well, 80%, it should be in the 90s. Listen, when you have got a 50-50 pitch and you've got a split second to figure out if that ball's a ball or a strike, if you're 80% plus, that's pretty amazing. It's unbelievable. Waste pitches, they're pretty much always perfect. Heart pitches, believe it or not, they're pretty much always perfect, but there's always that kind of that mental lapse or that blunder, that you see, the Angels Hernandez classic clips in the middle of the plate and they miss it. But it's very, like I said, it's very, very rare. Now, umpires back in the day, you go back 5-10 years ago, there wasn't the players just ripping into them like there is now. So these umpires are under a whole lot of scrutiny. Let's not forget either. As a skill set, from an umpire's point of view, your ball and strike calling ability is elite. That's how you got through that bottleneck to get to the big leagues. Now, all of a sudden, you have the threat of robo-umps, the challenge system, which I love because it keeps the human element involved. So all these little things, the pressure that they're under with, the umpire scorecard on social media, the technology, the EQC tracer, all these other things that come into play. I got to give it to you, mate. Umpires, I have a lot of respect for them, and that's why I'm excited to have Mike Muchlinski join me right after the break coming up. So stick around right here on the Top Step.
I go where they know me. They get me. Where they have everything I want and a little extra. They understand what I'm looking for. They appreciate my play. And they crown me for it. So when it's showtime, I'm front row. And all that, I'm here for it. Emerald Queen Casinos, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
All right, welcome back inside the EQC studio. Joining me right now, we have got a Major League umpire. I got so many questions for this guy, that is for sure. This interview is brought to you by Juan Seltzer. We have got Mike Muchlinski. Mike, how are we going, mate?
Good morning, Ryan. I'm well, thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I will say this, Mike. Before you came on, I ran some numbers out there since 2008 until now. So I was singing umpires' praises. I always have, and I'm not just saying that because you're looking at me right now. It is a hard gig, man. It is a hard gig, especially now with guys pumping hundreds with 92 mile per hour splinkers from Paul Skin. It's a very hard gig, and I've said this all the time. I've said the last couple of years, it's so much easier for people to whether it be criticize or evaluate on their own. Yeah, thanks to technology, right?
Sure.
And you look at from ball tracking, it shows here from 2008 until now. Right now, you guys are in a space where it's I'm looking at this 2002, 92.4% accuracy on pitches overall. It's probably gone up since that. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, 2002. I mean, we just broke into getting to the digital age on our side because before that guys had nothing. I mean, you had nothing to help our guys from our side get better. Nothing to track. It was just you went out. You called the strike zone on feel, and didn't really have anything post your plate jobs to help you tighten up the strike zone.
Like any other job, if you don't perform at your job or something, you do something, you lose your job. And that obviously from, and especially when they're rubbing shoulders with major league players, it's cutthroat, coaching staff, everything else. With umpires, how does that work? Like once you get to the big leagues, it's not like you can just sit there and miss 40%, 50% of the balls and strikes. How does that work for umpires?
No. You want to talk about like how it worked when I was coming back through, or how does it work in this current environment?
Like this current environment, like I'm a major league umpire. Everyone says, "Oh, well, they can't be disciplined or anything like that." But surely there has to be something there in regards to like, "Hey, look, your performance. We're evaluating you, and if you don't do this, look."
On a daily, pitch by pitch, play by play basis, like you've heard the old adage, like you'll hear a player or a coach somewhere along the line saying, "MLB umpires have no accountability." I'm here to tell you, we very much do. And it comes in the form of like we have our the MLB supervisor staff that is and the office of the commissioner has and still does discipline umpires for mishandling of situations. Now, when it comes to performance based, the discipline is different because it's simply not a matter of like, hey, I missed a pitch in the sixth, now I'm going to get disciplined. No. But you see that in how your career progresses forward. They read the same thing as players, going back to your point. Like, guys get success when they have success. So, but, no question. Pitch. So this morning, I had the plate yesterday, 12:40 start. This morning, I get up, I go down and grab a cup of coffee. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to my wife. I open up my plate score from yesterday. Just like that, bang. So I go and look at every pitch. I look at my total, my raw score, my adjusted score, because the MLB strike zone for us has a buffer zone on it, which you don't see on the TV, which that's a whole other whatever. And then also it comes to a play-by-play performance as well as us. So anytime that we get overturned on the bases, that's charted. Everything is charted. We have either a local observer or a supervisor in the stands probably 75% of the time watching our daily performance. So, but going back, it's a numbers game. Like, everything is quantified. Everything. So when it comes to like, you've seen what you see on the player side as far as how the numbers have grown, like it's the same for us. And now, like moving forward, like we're trying to figure out like what is the best way for us to utilize the numbers to improve our ability and improve our performance on a daily basis. It's hard,
Right.
Ryan. It's very hard.
Hey, I wanted to ask you this. Who are your favorite guys on the field? Who are the best dudes, man? Like, who are some names, guys around Major League Baseball that you just like, just good dudes on the field?
Good dudes. To be honest with you, like I'll just go with the fresh, who I recently had. Carlos Correa is a great dude.
Really?
I know that.
Okay.
I know that a lot of people still give him and Altuve like a lot of angst from the whole Houston thing,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But to be honest with you, like I was surprised. Not surprised. Like Carlos is. He's grown. He can choose to do whatever he wants. He's a fantastic player. And he left Houston. I was just surprised that he did, because him and Jose had a great relationship, and they seemed to play real well together.
Right.
But that's, you can debate what players are doing. That's fine. But Carlos, great dude. Like,
Really?
you know when somebody like authentically says, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" And I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
I've known him since he first came to the big leagues. And, so he's a guy that pops up into my mind. Ty France is another guy from, obviously Seattle. Great dude. Like a guy that you can have a real conversation with, and you can know that
you're
he's
talking,
being honest.
And you're talking like, he's playing first base, you're umpiring first base, in between pitches, just a quick turnaround, just a quick chat. That kind of
And
that
there
kind
are
of thing.
guys that just say, "Hey, good to see you, good to see you."
Yeah.
And you know that, like, it ends there.
Right.
Now, a guy like Ty, and then I'll give you two Seattle names. Kyle Seager. I always had a good relationship with Kyle Seager. He was always a true professional. I have the same relationship with his brother. He's just a true professional and a fantastic baseball player. But those are the guys that you like. When a guy will take the time, because I don't want to go too far down the COVID rabbit hole, but like the three of us that were from Seattle, like we spent a lot of time with the Mariners leading up to us trying to figure out how to get back on the field.
Gotcha.
So there was a lot of times when we're kind of hanging out, because we were the only ones that could really be around each other, right?
Yeah.
Us three umpires and this 60-man team now, which when you're trying to piece back together a baseball season.
Yeah.
But just learning, like, and those guys saying, like, hey, you live in Seattle, you're born and raised here, and then now we get 4 years later, and 5 years, 6, 7 years later. Like, I remember Ty when he was with the Padres,
Right.
and I remember him being kind of a surly young guy, and nobody really knew. And then all of a sudden, he like starts to develop, like, I'm sure through discussions with other veterans or other guys been around. Going back to your point, talking about Jamie Burke, right? Hey Ryan, like you gotta build relationships here, which in my opinion, for me personally, is very important in having success in the big leagues. It's another caveat that makes you,
Sure.
in my opinion, a successful umpire. But when you can develop that, and then you have authentic conversations and relationships. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that every once in a while you're going to have a situation, because I've said to managers before, we'll be in the middle of the end of a, we're in the 7th or 8th inning of a game. Mm-hmm. I've known this manager for a long time, or he just got hired recently, something like that. And you go over and he's a pretty decent guy. And you go, "Hey, not for nothing, I appreciate the way that you handled or whatever." Now, and then I follow that up with, that doesn't mean that tomorrow we're not going to have, a disaster out here and we're going to be screaming at each other, but flip the script. Like, we're going to be good. And I appreciate the way that you go about your business. Like, that's all I can ask.
So you got into it with Scott Service. When was that? There was
That
one.
was the year of the fires. Smoky.
Okay,
It was
gotcha.
Was it Houston? 21?
Okay. All right. So, all right. After that, so like, is that something where, like, the next day, or if you see him at the plate, or I mean, do you kind of seek each other out, or do you seek, or just say, "Hey, man, listen, just want to get squared away from yesterday. Let's try and move on from this," or does that conversation usually happen?
No, it
Okay.
doesn't usually happen. I would say officially, but unofficially, like whenever you cross paths again, like down the road, and then you see kind of how they come at you. I mean, I think you're going to give and get respect, right? So when it comes to that, like, I have no problem with Scott Service. We had a situation. He was ejected from the game. It was a big series. Yeah. You know what helps? It helps when I'm right. Like that always helps, like, diffuse the backside relationship when you're like, hey, you know, because you know as well as I do, there are times when managers need to step in and get involved in a situation and keep their guys protected, or, you know, show their guys that, like, I'm not just sitting here. I'm not just a pinup. Like, I will fight for you guys.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, when it came to that situation, like, there doesn't have to be an official, like, hi, Mike, good to see you.
Gotcha. I get you. Yeah.
Moving forward with that, like, but that's next time I see Scott, it's like, hey, man, good to see you, because I'll flip the script. I won't, you know, and I'm just using this as an example. Like, I'll remember the situation knowing that, like, okay, we've had this, but at the same time, he's a big league manager. I want him to respect me as a big league umpire, and I will obviously give him the same respect if he chooses to continue to move in that direction. And I'm like I said, I'm just using Scott as an example. That goes for players and personnel throughout the big leagues.
I do have to ask you this. Who's the most chatty, when you're behind the dish, who's the most chatty catcher behind the dish?
Oh, man.
Or the one that just talks?
It's always the veterans. Like, it's always the guys that are, like, have been around forever, and then they're just like the chattiest. I'll just give you a quick story. When I was a young guy, Pat Borders. Like, you want to talk about a name from the past,
dude? Love it. I want to hear this story.
Oh my gosh! I mean, like, Pat Borders played in the World Series with Toronto. Like, and now here I am, a younger AAA guy. And I come down, and Pat is now with the Mariners. And so Pat gets back here. He's got just dirt, chew, spit. Like, it's all over his glove. He's got pine tar. But he's comes out, Mike, nice to see you. I heard this is, like, your second year in AAA. Yeah, stick with me, kid, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. And I was like,
yes, sir.
Like, thank you, Mr. Borders. Like, I'm like,
but that was, by the way, that was 2001. He came down to rookie ball, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh my God, Pat Borders is literally wearing the same jersey I am." Like in rookie ball, because this is Instructs. He came to Instructs because the Mariners were in the playoffs, so he was kind of, and I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, if I get to throw a bullpen to him, I'm just going to flip out. He gave me one of his bats, dude. I was a huge Pat Borders fan, but by the way, he's like, "Stick with me." So so probably by the fifth inning, he's like, "Snap, yeah, that's a strike," and you're like, "Yes, sir, strike."
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. He goes, "If I don't move my glove, it's a strike. If I grab it real fast and throw it back, it's a ball. Stick with me." So I was like, okay. So he had some. He had some, like, younger pitcher on the mound, right? Yeah. And Pat had been around forever. And Pat gets one of those things where it's just it's whatever, it's ball strike, but it's off. Like, boom, throw it back, okay. And the pitcher, like, does a little hesitation, right? So you're like, okay, nothing, not a big deal. Once again, whack, same spot. Pat, nope, throws it right back. Now the pitcher, like, kind of pauses a little bit more. Pat goes, "Give me a second," and I go, pop, 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 pop. Pat gets on the mound, keeps his mask on, pop, 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 says something. Got it? The pitcher's, like, just standing there, like, okay. Pat comes back and he goes, good. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're doing fine, man. Kids, stick with me. Like, go back to my phone. Like, stick with me, we're fine. And I was like, again, like, it's one of those, like, this is Pat Borders. Like, I'm still trying to, like, I'm a young umpire. Like, I know. Okay. Thank you, Pat, for taking care of my problem. I appreciate it. Awesome dude.
Oh, man, he was. With all the young kids, he's stuck down there in Arizona Instructs, just kind of on standby in case they need to catch I think, while the Mariners didn't play. And he was so cool. Didn't big league anything. He was talking to us. Like, he was messing with some of the players, pulling pranks. One kid was late. And he comes in, he goes, "Hey, man, listen, I'm going to be the one to tell you this because your coach doesn't want to do it, doesn't have the heart, but you got to pack your stuff, you're out." And the kid's like, "Okay." And we're sitting here like, dude, Pat Borders is messing with 18-year-olds? It was so cool, man. It was great.
I live in Tacoma, and I'm all about the action. From making a run at the tables to multiple pay lines on my favorite machines. Game time. The sportsbook is better than being on the 50-yard line or sitting courtside. I'm here for it. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
I'm going to keep you on here because we do the Aussie segment every show. It's the How to Speak Australian segment, brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi pub. Now you're a Seattle native. Have you ever been to the Kangaroo and Kiwi pub?
I have not, so now that's an open invitation. I need
Okay.
where it's at, and I will rectify that problem the next time that we talk.
100%. Now, just don't do it before a game, please. Don't get stuck
No.
into a couple. Yeah. All right. So this is I'm going to give you a word, and you have to guess what it means. All right. Now we are talking umpiring here, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. All right. So this is the How to Speak Australian segment, brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi pub in Ballard. The word is how's that? It's an Aussie word. How's that? I'm about to give you a little bit of reference here.
Okay.
It's spelled HOWZAT, and I can already tell you got no idea, which is awesome.
It seems like a response. Like if you were pitching and you threw a pitch and you're like, Mike, where do you got it? And I'm like, hey Ryan, I got it outside. I feel like you'd be like, how's that? Because when you wanted it to be a strike, dude, so bad.
You're like, close. You're very close. You're very close. So in cricket, all right. So this is a cricket term, right?
My gosh.
The bowler bowls it, and if he thinks he's got an out, you know what? I'm not going to give it away.
Okay, but I'm with you.
I'm not going to give it away because so the people listening can go to social media. If you know what how's that means, it's to do with a cricket player. The bowler asks the umpire. It's spelled HOWZAT. Go to Twitter or Instagram at the Top Step TV. Put in hashtag TTS Meet. Brought to you by Kangaroo and Kiwi. You can play along. Mike Muchlinski has no idea. Just like some of the balls and strikes I watched just the other day down in Arizona. I went back and watched the game. I'm telling you, the EQC tracer had you all kinds of screwed up, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh, man. That can't be right. Oh, man. How's that?
By the way, you were so close, but I don't want to give it away. All right.
I didn't even know there was an umpire out there. Like,
oh, there is.
I'm like, where's he stand?
They're out. So they stand right behind the stumps, and they give the one finger. Like if you're out, you get the one finger up in the air. Oh, boom, you're done. And by the way, in cricket, once you're out, you're out. Like you don't have 4 at bats, right? So guys are just devastated. So they give the one finger. That means you're out, and boom. See, you could have a pretty good. There you go. You could have a good.
You know what?
Cricket career.
I'm going to talk to the guys about that tonight, and you might see like just an out of second base.
Yeah.
What is he doing? How's that?
Mike, this has been awesome, man. This interview is brought to you by Juan Seltzer. Mike is going to enjoy a Juan after the game, not before it.
After the game, not before.
That's right. And they do have their brand new hard dark cherry lemonade, so go check them out. They're really, really good. Mike, this has been awesome, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing you when you come back to Seattle calling the game. I'm going to be heckling you, eating popcorn.
I'm in. Come on over eating popcorn. I'm going to take some from you. I got you.
Sounds good. Mike, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Ryan. I appreciate it.
All right, special thanks to Mike Muchlinski for joining me this week, man. I could talk to him all day. And by the way, we did talk for a good hour. So go to YouTube, listen to everything that he dives into. You can watch it or listen to it. Go to at the Top Step TV for all the details. Go subscribe to over at YouTube and catch the entire interview. Special thanks to Juan Seltzer for being the official drink of the Top Step. It is Friday, Arvo. It is a nice weekend in Seattle. You know what? I'm going to crack open this what do we got here? The hard dark cherry lemonade. I've never tried this one. Bottoms up, team. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week right here on the Top Step.